Good day. Today we've got something a little different. Trevor has posed the question of how do you start off Norway so that you're all prepped up and ready to go for Norwegian wood. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to go over an opener for Norway, maybe take us up to the birth of colonialism. Because for Norwegian wood, you have to grab a whole load of naval supply provinces. Here they are all across Europe, so you're going to be getting your face in a lot of different nations' business. We want to get big and strong so that we're able to do that. As you can see, we'll be in Russia, all over Scandinavia, down into Teutonic Order. Not to mention all the stuff we have in the New World as well, and that's difficult for poor Norway because poor Norway is very poor. The economy is terrible, you can't even afford your starting position with forts and army, so we're going to have to do everything we can to squeeze every ducat out of our nation that we can. We are, of course, in union under Denmark alongside Sweden, and we're playing on patch 1.19, so Sweden is not as rebellious as they used to be in the olden days. We want to pay good attention to Denmark's enemies because we're going to need independence support. We've got Novgorod, we've got Lithuania. Thankfully Lithuania will say yes straight away. We have England too, since they are their rival, and we have Scotland. Interesting to get both of the British. So straight away we're going to get England and Lithuania on our side. If nothing else, this will keep our liberty desire quite high, so Denmark won't be extracting our money by way of siphoning income. We're also going to improve our relations with Scotland and Novgorod, so we can view them as potential allies in the independence war to come, because that's one of our first priorities, getting independent as Norway so that we can expand at our own leisure rather than being shackled down by the Danes. Now, it is a bit tricky with Lithuania and Novgorod. They are both very liable to get beaten up and no longer want to support us. Now, England get into a bit of a hairy situation with France. Them getting beaten down won't help with us getting independence from them, and Novgorod are getting chewed up by Muscovy, so not the greatest of starts for us. Lithuania, of course, fell under Poland, as is 75% likely to happen, so bang goes a lot of our hopes for independence. Still, we can only look forward. We're going to set our focus to military, we're going to hire an advisor, and we're going to try and beat all of our foes to military tech 4, since that will be the crux of the matter when it comes to fighting. Military tech 4 is extremely important in the early game, giving all the tactics and morale you need to win those early battles. Now, we're going to hope that Sweden ends up being disloyal, if even for a moment, so that we can capitalize on that. Now, we've been trying to get in Scotland's good books, but unfortunately for us, they're hostile towards us because they really want Orkney. So, like any Scot, they can be wooed with money. We throw dosh at them to get them over 100 relations, which kills the hostile attitude, and now we can get our support independence from them. Scotland might seem a little worthless, but they do have a fair bit of development under them, and they usually are able to contribute 10 to 15,000 units when it comes to the warring. Novgorod truly getting chewed out by Muscovy, so we're not very hopeful for any help from them. Now, Denmark did at some point slip up, and that means Sweden comes to us for an alliance, meaning that they hit a rebellious attitude, or at least disloyal attitude. With them allied to us, we can force drag Sweden into war. We'll have Scotland and England on our side. There is no time to waste here because, hey, Denmark does not have the greatest of allies. What's most important, they don't have the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth as an ally. We mark everything as vital interest for ourselves, so that our allies should hand over just about everything to us. Sweden will have their own priorities, they'll want that Swedish land to the south. So we are now masters of our own fate to get a half-decent king to rule our lands. Thankfully, because it was just a personal union, we retain kingdom ranks, so we keep those 3 diplomats, which are ever important. So whilst the Brits are taking their time ferrying their units over, we are ever confident that we can take on the disgusting Danes. Now, our technological superiority allows our units to last, and the backup from the overpowered Swedish units assure us victory in the early battles down in Lund. Now, that also ties up the Swedish units, so we can actually be greedy enough to grab these provinces for ourselves. If the Swedes had occupied these, it would have gone over in their name, and I'm not so sure we want to help out the Swedes in the long term here. They are occupying rightful Norwegian territories. So the British have not yet arrived, we have to hold out on our own, And that's no problem for us. We send the enemy packing, our very own king leading the troops there. So we take over and we dominate. Finally, the British have arrived though. The Scots are pouring in, and well, if they don't win lots of battles for us, they will at the very least be a good distraction. They'll help us out in that regard whilst we siege up Lund and we put the squeeze on the Danes here. Now they want to attack us, but they know that we are just too powerful for them. All the while the Scots siege up the land over in the west. We even mount an assault. Now Denmark did not see himself as being threatened by Sweden beforehand, so he did not have much time to put a garrison in Lund. It remained nice and small, so the assault allowed us to cap that fortification. In fact, Denmark's days are numbered, surrounded by enemies here without any particularly good allies. It's not to say they don't have a force to be reckoned with, I'm just saying that we're a lot better. We put the siege down on Sjælland, and the British, well, they take all the fighting for us. Unfortunately, you can never truly be confident that the AI is going to be pulling their weight in battle here. As we can see, they made the mistake of being led by the Scotsman Donald there, and the British forces are routed. We don't have to worry too much though. We are keeping the siege of Sjælland going, and we get ticking war score due to keeping our own capital free of any Danish occupation. No, the British got completely routed, but we're able to work our way through Sjælland there. We also have naval superiority. Remember, Norway starts with 3 heavies. Need to put those to use. They are significantly better than anything the Danish are going to throw at you, although be wary of being outnumbered and essentially flanked by galleys in those narrow seas. Yeah, so we're noticing that Sweden do have naval supplies that we're going to have to take, so we may just have to screw them over. So a great example of the naval engagements here. We bring on our heavies. We can't really rely on the British coming over to help with their navies. They're a bit far away from us, but that's okay. We sink the laughable navy that the Danes have as we push our way in, trying to take the provinces on the west, which the Scots and the English just couldn't manage before. Thankfully they bring over fresh armies for us, and that's the nice thing about getting support independence. Your people supporting you will actually jump into the war whether they want to or not. It's not like they can say no thanks to war exhaustion or having their army defeated or any of those likes. So we have to think about what we want in the peace deal. We are of course going to have to get grant independence, because you cannot take provinces without it. And the obvious thing to do is to strip the core of Denmark away, and that's going to stop them being able to transport troops to and from each side of their country without use of navy. And it means we can launch kind of invasion attacks unseen by them, because we've managed to secure their fort over on the western side, so we'll be able to just come in and pummel them in future wars. It's a shame we couldn't take Lund, but we do have to be wary of aggressive expansion here, since we are quite close to all the HRE states. I'm eyeing up those Swedish lands though, because I really want them. We've been building up a spy network in Sweden, might as well claim Dalaskogen as our own. We want all that copper. It's an incredibly good province, so we're going to make it ours shortly after this. Now Sweden is very unhappy. They view us with great distrust, because we went to war with them helping us out, and we only took land for ourselves. Now, nations will be very unhappy with you if you go to war for independence and don't give them land, providing they actually want land. The Scots and the English have no interest in this Danish land, so they had no trust to be lost, but the Swedes most certainly did. It's an interesting dynamic over in Great Britain, because Scotland and England don't appear to be wanting to go and fight each other too badly. So what we've grabbed is a whole bunch of Danish land. We are still quite poor. Notice the whole lack of money we have, so we're going to have to do something about this. I would not be able to deal with Danish revolts right now, so we're going to get cored up as fast as we can. If only I'd kept enough admin for this, but hindsight is 2020. Thankfully, due to getting it cored, smacking down the clergy, and thumping up autonomy, we've managed to negate any risk of revolt here, whilst managing to turn a bit of money. The clergy is very good at bypassing the autonomy effects on tax, whilst we have the burghers over in Sjælland, which ensure we get that money right out of Lubeck. So all is well for a nation, things are actually pretty stable, and we have targets galore. We can be ready to strike Scotland whenever. We've been able to get our claim over there. In fact, why not claim more while we're at it? We want it all. We just want our options to be open here. Thanks to aggressive expansion, we might not be able to take quite so much, but especially lands up in Sweden, most people don't really care about it. So we're establishing spy networks and getting all the claims we can. Yes, indeed, perhaps we went a bit claim crazy there, but it does save us diplomatic points when it comes to the peace table. Denmark, again, don't have the greatest of allies, so it's good to know we can strike them whenever. Unfortunately, Sweden got an alliance with Poland, which makes things a little tricky for us. The PLC is not something we're interested in fighting right now, and throwing Novgorod into the mix means that their millions of units could come up and make our life hell. We look over to Scotland, and they are guaranteed by France. So we have our 3 targets, and none of them are particularly open to us right now. The Danish are the most open, so once that truce goes away, we'll probably be coming down like a ton of bricks on them, because we need to expand and get rich. Norway's real tight moment is with the money. We never have enough of it as Norway. We're going to have to fix that. So time goes on and we're still eyeing up who to fight. But Sweden's great ally Poland, they've gotten themselves involved in a war with Muscovy, which is dragging up their war exhaustion. We're not very scared of Novgorod. We're certainly not scared of Sweden, since they only have military tech 4 and we can grab military 6 at our leisure. So I think they're going to be our next target. We are preparing for war. We better get those fortifications up and on the go. Thanks to some new events for Norway, thanks to 1.19, we get a free castle to the south. We've managed to build up quite a bit of money thanks to our warring and saving, so we are going to merc up quite a bit. We don't want to run the risk of Sweden rolling over us in this war, so we get a large enough army, swelled up with mercs, being careful with our manpower that way. And we obliterate the Swedes. We gotta send them packing because we want to take over their country and then some. It's a large country and the fortifications can be a bit annoying because it won't allow us to get everything under siege. But we need to try the best we can. We're going to divide up our units, carpet siege these guys into oblivion because we want to take over all of Scandinavia for ourselves. The thing is, Scandinavia is land that people don't particularly care about you taking, and whilst it isn't the richest, it is at least in our culture group. So that's what we do, divide up, grab all the land. We're not very scared of the Novgorods because they will most likely be funneled into our mountainous fort up in what is probably not pronounced as Trondlag. Remember, we still have our alliance with England and Scotland due to having them support our independence. Not that we're putting that to use right now, because we can slay these guys on our own. And indeed, looking at it, we carve up Sweden. We're taking all the north for ourselves, because, well, no one really cares about it. And we want to grab one of the southern forts, because that allows us complete maneuverability whenever we fight Sweden again. And we're going to want to fight Sweden again, because their very existence within our borders is an insult to all Norwegians. Not to mention, for some reason, Finland is being called Sweden on this map. So, aggressive expansion, we are kind of chancing it there. But, like I said, most people don't care about the north. And we were able to grab Stockholm for ourselves. Just slapping down some clergy over there will allow us to make half-decent money out of it. We've got all these claims over Scotland though, but we had a bit of a fallout. There was an event where we would have to surrender Orkney or not, and we did not. So that ignites a rivalry between the two of us. Denmark remains a very apt target for us because they are terrible at making good allies, and thanks to us having taken that land over in the west, we can just jump our way in. And we're going to have some mercenaries take over land to the east as well, just to prevent them from getting the jump on us. So we get in there, we are born to the saddle, and we get the proper flank, which allows us to completely eradicate the Danish forces. If you can get a good flank on someone, along with some good rolls or a good general, you can obliterate them. So now we just have to put Denmark under siege and all will be well. At least we wish it would be that easy. They do have some allies that are going to be getting in our way here. We need to make our way south and crush Dithmarschen. Well, we would if we were there. Seems they're off gallivanting in some other conflicts. Not scared of that though. We place the Danes completely under siege, and those 3 heavies that we start with are worth their weight in gold. We trap the enemy army over in the Lolland Islands, and that allows us to get some very profitable peace for ourselves. Piecing out all his little friends, allowing us to just 100% or near enough the Danes, and then take over yet more land. This time we do get Lund. Now this would generate a lot of aggressive expansion with the northern Germans, but our diplomats have been busy improving relations as much as we can, because even though they're going to have 50 or more aggressive expansion, they won't join that coalition because they have positive opinion of us. We're not really applying that to the Swedes here because the Swedes are very angry, but as long as we keep a truce with them, there's no problem to be had. We just have to fight and fight again. Because the Poles did not aid the Swedes before though, I don't think they're going to be allying again anytime soon. So we just clean up the lands, and now we have Sweden completely surrounded. Even the events are on our side, giving us that extra stability that we need. They've got an alliance with Scotland, they've got an alliance with Novgorod, and the Poles again, they won't be joining in. And the English really want that Scottish land. We might be able to take advantage of that, but beforehand we really need to cut up the Swedes. Because of our positioning around what's left of their nation, I can simply leave 8 or so units behind, and they can place the core of Sweden under occupation, and then we can focus over on the Finnish parts. We go to war, and we might as well take a moment just to think about how Norway is doing here. And we can admire the fact that Scotland is getting crushed. We're at war with some foes that we can easily take care of, and our finances look sound. Even though we're at war paying for our forts and advisors and our army, we are in the green. Tech is looking alright, and we've managed to embrace the Renaissance thanks to taking over these Danish lands. They are fairly high development, and we get that spread from Germany, because normally the spread for institutions around Scandinavia could be a wee bit slow, thanks to the low development, large provinces, and you're generally far away from where institutions spawn. We're going for exploration ideas because, who knows, there's maybe some Norwegian wood out there. Remember, we need to grab all those naval supply provinces. And it's all well and good looking at how well our nation does, but let's put it to practice. We crush Novgorod. We're not scared of them. The fortification over in Trondlag is truly worth its weight in gold as we ferry the enemies in there. England has been doing the lifting for us over in Scotland, but we didn't promise them anything in this war. What we're going to do is release Gaeldom. Might seem a little unorthodox, but there's a big difference between Gaeldom and Scotland, and that is Gaeldom do not have the guarantee by France. That, and it's just nice to get the Saltire on the map every now and then. Whilst that is going on, we place Sweden under siege. There is no challenge. We 100% them, and we think about, what are we going to take? They're essentially dragged in 2 here. Well, we could take the western part, but then the aggressive expansion is fairly unpleasant due to it being closer to northern Germany. So forget that. What we're going to do is take over all of Finland. It's further away, fewer people will care. And why not just take the money while we're at it? And that leaves just one little bite-sized chunk of Sweden left. Not many people attest to this. Excellent. But there's been one real problem with the map thus far, and that's been the lack of Finland. That's right, we need Finland back on the map. They will serve a great march for us, and we're going to give away the lands to them so they have proper Finnish borders. And give us a nice wall between us and the Russians, as anyone who knows anything about Scandinavia knows, Åland is rightful Finnish property now and forever. So the Finns are happy under the Norwegians. They do have some naval supplies, but as long as naval supplies are owned by either Norway or a subject to Norway, we'll be fine. We can finally go exploring as well. We send off our boats into the great unknown, thanks to the strategic positioning of Iceland, though. We can go and explore all we want. At least I'd like to think so, but at this stage of the game, we are quite limited by our colonial range. But we'll get more and more of that as time goes on. We have no particular problems teching, since we were able to grab the Renaissance institution without too much carry on. So people don't like us that much, but we keep everyone just above joining a coalition against us. We're eyeing up various targets. Gaeldom exists, but we have a very long truce with them, thanks to it being a large war score deal that we had to do with Scotland to release them. And here we go, we found some strange new lands over to the west, and we might as well start colonizing it. It is in our ideas. They have this strange chewy thing called tobacco, but we're not interested in that. If it's not naval supplies, our Norwegian wood campaign is not interested in it. Still, pretty world, we'll go and explore it more as we establish our colonies there. Otherwise, we need to clean up things back home. Take care of Gaeldom, since, well, they are a remnant of Scotland and we can't be having that. And due to us being very quick on the New World, we are the birth of colonialism. We get loads of points for it, and which is more, we have the birthplace of that institution. Over in Lund, it is now a major colonial port. It's a great province with all that development, and now it is even stronger. So Norway is looking good. Hell, Norway is looking great. And to celebrate grabbing our institution, we just crush what's left of Gaeldom. We're so excited that our soldiers just fling their bodies against the wall over in Inverness and make it ours. Everything's just rolling in. And again, British Isles, most people don't really care about you taking it. It does not generate a lot of aggressive expansion. And it's great to have a good beachhead on the UK, because that allows you to just crush England. England are no big deal as long as you already have a toehold on the United Kingdom. So there we go, we eradicate the disgusting stain on Scandinavia that is Sweden, and we accelerate ourselves up to the status of great powers. There we go, GP number 6. Norway is truly one of the strongest in the world. We've got plenty of development, loads of money, our tech is doing fine, and we own colonialism. We dictate who gets to know about that institution. So all is well for Norway. This is a pretty solid start, and what we need to do is get all of the naval supply provinces, but that's not going to be a real problem for this Norway. We're big and strong, and that pretty much concludes this start on propping up your nation for the Norwegian wood achievement. So cheers, Trevor, for asking for this one. Hope you enjoy, and for now, cheerio.